Mr. Deputy Chairman, I would like to say that the question has been very ably thrashed out by the speakers who have preceded me and Professor Humayun Kabir, who was, I suppose, one of the joint authors who were responsible for the initial framing of this bill, has explained the whole position in a very lucid manner. Now, Mr. Deputy Chairman, I would like to say that I wish it had been possible for us to integrate this institution with a university, because I do not believe in isolated institutions having the status of a university or having more or less the status of a university. A university is a place where knowledge is integrated. A university is a place where you have teachers of various departments of knowledge, students reading various subjects, all congregated at one place and pursuing knowledge for knowledge's sake. Now, a technological institute, howsoever important from a national point of view, cannot be a university in that sense. It should therefore form part of larger institution which has a liberalizing influence, a humanism influence. We have followed in this matter the American model, but I think generally in Britain and in other Western countries, the tendency, the idea to have institutions of the rank having a university status is discouraged. As far as I know, sir, the Imperial Council of Science and Technology, which is a very big institution in the United Kingdom, is a part of the London University. It is not a separate institution at Kharagpur, which is going to be a bigger institution than a Imperial Council of Science at all events for the first few years. I wanted an All India Institute of Medical Sciences. I wanted the institute to be affiliated to some university, and I relied for that position upon the view which was expressed by the Good Enough Committee on Medical Education, which was appointed by the British government some years ago. That committee was not in favor of the Royal College of Physicians acting as a university and holding examinations. It wanted medical education to be under the control of a university. Therefore, I would have preferred, Mr. Deputy Chairman, this institution to be made part of some national university. But there is one difficult, and I have not been able to get an answer of that difficulty. The institution could have only been affiliated to the Calcutta University. Then, sir, I would like to say that Professor Humayun Kabir is right in view that the distinction between fundamental research and applied research is fast disappearing in the modern world. One thing about that is that you cannot have research to order. There is a lot of wastage in the process by which you arrive at a discovery, and in order that we might be able to promote research, we must be prepared for this wastage. No institution can be effective from a research point of view until and unless the teachers of that institution are given ample leisure to advance knowledge. It has been stressed that this institution will provide for postgraduate teaching, for undergraduate teaching, and for research. But it is also going to be teachers training college which will supply us with our teaching material in the country. Well, Mr. Deputy Chairman, it is therefore important that the teaching staff in this institution should be carefully selected. I confess that I have no prejudice against foreign personnel. Where we cannot get a suitable Indian for a particular job, we ought not hesitate to employ foreign personnel. I happen to have visited some years back Princeton University in USA, and I found that the dean of the faculty of science there was a Britisher. He had not, as far as I know, changed this nationality. He was the head of the Department of Science of that institution. Mr. Deputy Chairman, if we start entertaining national prejudice against foreign personnel in our institutions, we shall not be doing service to the expansion of knowledge in this country. It does not mean that we should prefer a foreigner where we can get an Indian, and it certainly does not mean that we should get for our academic councilmen from abroad. I certainly think that the constitution of the proposed academic council is unsatisfactory. I have seen something of how academic councils work in the universities of my own state. I know that there is a tendency on the part of our teachers, for whom I have got great respect, to look upon themselves as a corporation. I should like some fresh blood to be introduced in our academic councils. I think it should be possible for us to have an academic council which would include teachers from such places as Roorkee, Banaras, or Aligarh. Personally, I should like to have one or two men having wide education associated with our academic council. I also think that there is a tendency to give to the constitution of the university a somewhat bureaucratic character. Mr. Chairman, I want to make a few remarks on this budget, not from an economist's point of view, but from the point of view of a layman and one who has studied it from a purely common sense point of view. The first thing that strikes one when one has a look at the budget is that it is a deficit budget. It is deficit on both accounts, the revenue as well as the capital accounts. The question arises, why could not this deficit be avoided? That is the first question which presents itself to everybody. But it seems that it could not be avoided. The deficit on the revenue account is mainly on account of two reasons. The first reason is that the defense expenditure, which takes practically one half of the revenue, cannot be curtailed because of the present international situation, and the other is that the expenditure on the nation building activities cannot also be curtailed. Therefore, the finance minister is justified in presenting a deficit budget. He has tried to cover up the deficit on the revenue account to a certain extent, although the whole of the deficit on the capital account has been left uncovered. A layman would ask why, when an overall deficit of rupees 318 crores was being left uncovered, a deficit of about rupees 30 crores would not be left uncovered, because if that deficit was also left uncovered, fresh taxation would not have fallen on the middle classes. But I would say that if the finance minister has not left that deficit uncovered, he has not acted against the accepted principles of public finance. It is an accepted principle of public finance that it is always prudent to cover a revenue deficit by current taxation, and that is why fresh taxation has been resorted to for the purpose of covering the revenue deficit. But again, the question arises that the whole of this deficit has not been covered, even though fresh taxation has been resorted to. There is still a deficit of about rupees 800 crores which has been left uncovered. I, for one, am not able to find a direct answer for not covering that deficit also. The only reason that strikes me is that probably we have come to the saturation point, and that it is not possible for the finance minister to tap fresh resources. This budget provides some incentives for better production and for the industrialists to come forward and do their best. And to put it negatively, whether the proposals here are such that they do not put a definite distinctive disincentive in the way of the industrialist. And the next point from which this budget should be judged is whether it provides for a better and a more equitable distribution of wealth. From the point of view of the first standard I have mentioned, the budget provides for two concessions as incentives to the industrialists. One is in the way of a 25% development rebate on the initial cost of a new plant and machinery, and in other is that business losses can be carried forward indefinitely and not for 6 years only as it at present. These are concessions, but I feel that they are not very attractive or big concessions. With regard to the second point, whether the budget contains any proposals which will definitely retard production, which may definitely prove to be disincentives, I must say that this budget does not contain any such proposals. Therefore, all that can be said of this budget is that it is a neutral budget.